What it do, and welcome back to the Flagrant Free podcast. It's your boy Aaron. Over here on my right, as always, is Mr. Feeling Too Good. Brett, how you doing, fam?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Calling. And drum roll, please, Adam. Edit in a drum roll, please, Adam. Because we've got our third and final host. He's back with a doctor's note. It's Mike Lokeman.
Yes,
how's it going, big
Prior
man?
commitments, but yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm good. He's made it. Fine.
Man's
stuff.
committed to everything but the podcast. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Boys, wild week. Wild first week of the playoffs.
Loving it.
Yeah,
Maybe for some, wild first round. You're talking about Bucks. That's first round done, not first week. Over.
Miami out. Gone fishing.
Yes, get the brooms out.
I mean,
done dizzled.
What is there to say, really? Game one was not how the series went.
No. Bit more of a fight on game one from the Heat.
The only bit of fight they had.
Not so much from the
Literally the only bit
rest
of
of
fight
the
they
series.
Had. 107-109 in overtime. Jimmy sending it to overtime in the final seconds of the fourth.
Chris Middleton getting the steal.
It was actually for the first time that Robinson actually showed up as well, because game one he was pretty
right
on
up.
fire, from the
he
3-point. Now
was
that's what
right
you want. You want a shooter who's going to shoot and hit things consistently in the playoffs. But after game one, he went missing. Like he had 24 points in that first game, and after that, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear his name once come up, and I was just like, well, where's this guy? Where's this guy who's meant to give you a good proportion of 3-point shooting while the rest will handle their business? If your shooters ain't shooting right, it's going to be difficult. That's the one thing, and they found it. Miami found it that way. Hero won himself. Duncan Robinson, sorry, but I think he even missed all his threes in one of the games. I have to look back through, but he shot really badly.
For a guy who is the majority of his minutes, he's coming off screens and taking that free. You want to see more from him, in all honesty. And the Heat in general, last year, you're in the NBA Finals. Yes, it's a different atmosphere in the bubble. Maybe that helped them advance a bit further. Maybe that helped them without the fans being there. But they just had a tough time from start to finish this series.
I personally, I was saying this off podcast earlier, but I think Milwaukee come with a bit of a grudge and a chip on their shoulder, and they're a better team this year round. Like Drew Holiday, massive upgrade from Eric Bledsoe. Like not just on the defensive end. I know Eric Bledsoe's a fantastic defender, but running that floor and not having Giannis bring the ball up every single possession. Yeah. Drew was getting 15 assists a game, like real good numbers, and making good plays, which they were missing last year, and you could tell they were missing it last year.
Yeah.
And then what they've done is they've basically violated a fantastic defensive team in the Heat, who had probably the best record in, conceding the least inside points for the regular season. And just turn around and went, you know what, screw that, we're just going to dominate you inside. And if we're not going to dominate you inside, we're going to kick it out, because we've now got shooters that can hit things consistently. And I think, I said this from the beginning, Milwaukee want to watch for this whole playoffs, even a chip. I think they've got a good shot if they keep. They've got a lot of rest now. I think they've got a week
they're
rest.
Getting at least a week, depending on obviously if Brooklyn finish off in the next two games. But if they don't, they've got more than a week, which I think could hinder them. Personally, I mean, if you get more than a week's rest, you're practicing, but ideally you want to be finishing up your series maybe 3 or 4 days and then getting back to it.
Yeah,
I think over a week you could come in.
It gives them a chance to have a look and to make sure that they're fully prepped. But I think
I'd be running more film on the Nets and how they're getting on in their series.
Guaranteed, it's a very, very small chance it's going to be Boston in the next round. So Nets, 100%, you can get your matchups right and you start running your sort of like, your sheets correct and stuff like that. But
you don't want that long break. You want a couple of days, like you say, to rest up, ice up, make sure your stars are ready to put in.
Yeah, and
Chris
Middleton.
This is playoff ball now, and the Stars are playing 40 minutes.
I think if Chris Middleton continues the way he's been playing, like you said, Drew Holiday as well.
The East could be a lot tougher than what we predicted.
I'll tell you one thing I did like about the Bucks as well, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people picked up on unless they looked at the sheet. Brook Lopez playing inside a lot more. He took literally minimal threes. I think he had 3 threes in a game, which last year he was taking majority of their threes and hit them. He's sort of become this stretch 5, which he just isn't. He never has been. Yeah. He was playing in the post. He was shooting really high numbers, probably around 80% in the post and stuff like this. That's what you want from your bigs, and just leave space outside for Chris Middletons and your actual 3-point shooters, and just get the gritty stuff down inside. Bully people like Bam, which he was doing. Get Bam into foul, get Bam into foul trouble, and whoever's going to come off the bench for him isn't going to be a Bam. So you're going to have them as well, and you're physical, you're strong enough. Why he stepped out to that 3-point line? Respect for what he did do with his 3-point shot and getting to where it is today. But you just shouldn't have done it in the first place. Stay inside, keep bigs.
Yeah, keep to your strengths.
I'm a firm supporter of big men being big men, and it is a little man's league.
It is a little
man's league at the minute, but you've got to take advantage of that. If you're a big man, play big. Play big, because there's no one that can guard you if you can actually play the centre position properly.
I mean, you got two people really, and you've got Rudy Gobert and Joel Embiid are probably the only people that can guard the post efficiently. Maybe you could argue Jokic, but
not on defense. Not on defense.
Yeah,
he's a centre, but he's a all-around player. He's not a defender.
So let's turn our attentions to the Heat for a second. Why do we think it didn't work? Because it's the same team from last year, pretty much, apart from a few pieces. So why did it not work?
It's just a no-show. The whole team was just a no-show. It was almost as if they didn't want it.
It was that's what it looked like. The key components didn't turn up to play each night. And sorry, but Jimmy did all Jimmy could do. Jimmy's always going to do Jimmy, and he's always going to give 110%. But last night, for example, casual triple-double for Jimmy. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists.
Yeah, but that is casual.
That's not a playoff triple-double.
That's not going to get
That's not getting you to the finals like they did last year. I mean,
no.
Jimmy was aggressive, but he wasn't efficient at all.
And if you look at
poor shooting,
look at game 2, for example. Dwayne Dedman, 19 points, their leading scorer.
Yeah.
Dwayne Dedman,
absolutely coming off the bench.
You've got all-stars on this team. And Dwayne Dedman's dropping you 19 points in the highest in your box score, and you're thinking, oh, we're going to make a playoff run. I'd rather give their playoff spot to like someone else. As Brett says, if you're not going to turn up and want to perform in the playoffs and do what you got to do and handle your business, then don't turn up. Give it to someone else that wants to.
Other than game 1, it literally looked like they didn't want it. Literally looked like they didn't want it. A Bam, I mean, he wasn't a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, but he should have been. And you wouldn't have thought so if you watched that series.
No, he got bullied. He looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable. He did. And talking about rebounding, man. It's just the rebounding is the key to everything. And the Bucks were dominating, even on the offensive rebounds were just through the roof.
Yeah. So what do the Heat need to do then to make a better run at the next year? Do they need to trade players while their stock's high? What's the game plan to get back in? Because the Heat have been good for the last 2-3 years, right? To get swept in the playoffs by the Bucks, okay, the Bucks are a fantastic team, but does this mean that it's going to be repeat next year? Do the Heat have to get rid of people like Bam? Do they have to get rid of people like Dragic and bring people in? What's the plan?
I think they need to make a better run in the season. They need to get further up in the standings to get that weaker spot in the East for the first round. Get the ball rolling for the first round of the playoffs next year by going hard in the season. And they actually need to play like they did in the bubble. They were dogs in the bubble. They were the toughest team in the playoffs last year, hands down.
Yeah, but
even with Denver coming back 3-1 twice, you've got other teams making deep runs last year. It just didn't even touch what the Heat were doing.
Things like the conference getting quite easy, even though. So I think unless you're finishing first or second in the East, which I don't think the Heat will, right? You've got a tough game.
There's no.
You've got a tough game, right? Yeah. And for me, I think personally, you need to trade out Dragic, where he's got good stock value. Kendrick Nunn could potentially be a good starting point guard for the next few years. Okay, he's a scoring guard.
As well.
Yeah, he's a scoring guard. Get it done. And I would even consider just floating out there. Consider what you can get back for Bam.
Yeah, I would.
Just consider it.
Yeah, we were speaking about this earlier and thinking about Bam having a good bubble run last year and a good season. Yeah, he had a good season. He obviously is still young, but he flaked out, and I think maybe get a shot of him while he's hot.
And how far do we think the Bucks can go?
Personally, I think they're gonna come out the East. That's more like last week on the pod. I was saying that I think they're being overlooked. With obviously the three-headed dragon in Brooklyn and Philly being the number 1 seed. I think they're being overlooked, and I think they're happy to play that dark horse, not dark horse, but out of the top three, they're playing that dark horse role.
I think Giannis not winning or being in really the MVP race has taken a lot of pressure off his shoulders and a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
I think he's just free now. And he can play ball.
They've upgraded their team, like we said, with Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker coming in, bringing that grit. I mean, PJ Tucker, when Miami tried to put a run together in the third last night, I think Kendrick Nunn was going on an 8-0 personal run, and PJ Tucker slowed it down by getting 3 offensive rebounds just to ease the bleeding of Miami trying to get back in it after leading for so long. And like we were saying, Milwaukee just didn't have that last year.
No, PJ Tucker's brought so much fight to that team. Yeah. It's made them more physical. Last year against the Heat, they didn't look like they had a fight in them. They looked like getting bullied. And this year, PJ, literally just Tucker's come in and gone, you know what, you need to be stronger, you need to be more physical. I'll do my thing and just back it. Yeah. That's all it is. It's just back it. Yeah, fight a little bit more, be a little bit more physical when you need to be physical with certain people in the league, and you'll get somewhere. And he's made that great addition.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, should we leave that series there?
Yeah,
they are on chill mode.
Move over to the West, shall we?
Lead it on, bro. Lead it on.
Nuggets Trailblazers.
Ha!
Sitting here.
How did last night go? But let's go, Mr. Denver. Let's go.
Well, Jokic struggling last night. Real bad. 16 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist for the big man.
Was he or was he not in Nurkic's pocket?
All game. All game.
Just wanted to hear you say that.
All game. And the Denver's defense just wasn't there last night. There was a couple of plays early on that if they had switched on, it could have potentially switched the momentum of the game in our favour a bit more. We would have been able to build up a bit more of a lead in the first couple of quarters. Instead, backpedaling the whole time. The whole time. We had no support, really. Only 4 players double-digit scoring for the whole of the Nuggets squad. And when Caparzo is your second leading scorer, I think we've got problems. But, I mean, when you look back to Game 3,
Austin Rivers had himself a game, and you barely won.
Yeah.
And if Austin Rivers... I mean, bearing in mind, Austin Rivers was unemployed for like 2 weeks in the season. And, you're relying on him to have a game. Yeah. You're relying on him to have a game to win. And give him his due, man. Give him his due. He balled out, but if you're relying on that, you're not going to get anywhere. I retract my statement from the first podcast that said Denver are overlooked. They should be overlooked.
Michael Porter Jr. He's got to give more. He's got to give more. He's averaging 23 minutes a game. Last night, 3 points. This is a guy who was up for most improved player this year. Need more. You need more. When you're a young guy, he's had the playoff experience as well. He was playing last year. So there's no excuse for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the minute situation last year. I think I remember him saying something about it.
I'm going to apologise now. I think Denver are going to struggle. I think Portland take this series. And you're going to not like this because obviously being a Nuggets fan, but I personally think that, I know Brett said obviously people overlooking Denver. People definitely, and do this every single year, people overlook Dame and the Blazers. And they forget how deep this squad actually goes. And it must hurt you that Carmelo Anthony's contributing and significantly with big shots contributing towards Denver's decline in...
I mean, yesterday he went off.
12 points I wouldn't call going off, but the shots he was
hitting at the right times
were instrumental. I must admit they were very, very instrumental, and I'm all here for it.
It is. It's all about timing. And
I think if it goes to Game 7, it's going to be Denver. If the Portland,
you'd like to think so, having home court advantage, but I don't know if it will go to 7. I think you're really missing Jamal Murray.
Portland wins the next. If Portland wins the next game, it's a series. I think.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, right, the pressure is on Denver. Denver are going to sit there and go, we're the higher seed, we've got higher expectation, we should be doing something. All right, I've got Will Barton out, I've got Jamal Murray out, but we still should be doing well. We've got
the
MVP candidate. Potentially, yes, we'll be crowned MVP. Let's find out at a later date. I don't know why they do it in the middle of the playoffs, but still, let's just focus on the here and now. But also, don't forget, you got Dame Dollar time. Like, this is what he plays his series for. You know, he turns up for the playoffs. He plays up for the big games. As soon as if you close that out right and you brought that to 3-1, Denver take it. But because now you've given them an opportunity at 2-2 to turn around and say, we can go to your gaff. We're going to beat you at your gaff. And then you're going to go back to Portland with a, win or go home series. They're going to really take advantage of that. And I'm all here for it. I'd love to see, Portland make a run at something or have an opportunity and Dame to have an opportunity to do something.
I think a lot of people back Portland or want to back Portland because they do seem to. It's kind of a reminder of the Golden State Warriors, like Mark Jackson's time, the Golden State Warriors, where they're there, but they just need that extra push. And I don't think they've got the team to get. I'm not saying they're going to put a dynasty together like the Warriors did. I don't think they've got the team right now to get that push. They might need to get rid of a couple of people.
But how
whether
long?
CJ and Dame can keep going, because it's. I think one maybe takes away from the other. Like Dame, you saying about Dame time. He didn't have a good game last night. He had 10 points, but he had 10 assists. Which isn't usual from Dame. But CJ had himself a night, and that's the 1-2 punch. Like, you're not getting both of them do it at the same time. It's not very often you get both of them do it at the same time.
No, you're right, yeah.
So I think maybe some moves. If they make it out of the first round, that's it for them. Mavs, Clippers, whatever, they're not beating them.
But how long are Portland going to be able to keep D. Lillard?
Oh, well,
happy?
Well, Lillard wants to retire there, doesn't he? He doesn't want to be one of these ring still early in his career.
A pound for every time a star player said that. No.
But
I think he's comfortable there at the moment, though, and I think he's in a place where they've got a good team around him. Okay, he's not sitting there going, "Oh, I've got a title-winning team around me," but he's got a team around him that says, like Brett was just saying, he can trust teammates. He can trust CJ if he's having an off night. You can, like Norman Powell at the moment. God Lord, what he's been doing at the moment is unreal, both on the offense and defensive end. He's a great addition to that team. Nurkic back from a serious knee injury, like fantastic. Yeah, he had leg injury snap. I think he's doing fantastically well to even contain Jokic in all regard. And I think, as I was saying, I think they're deeper than what people realise. And I think that's really key when you're going into a series, especially when it goes down to, let's say, 7 games. Nuggets at the moment have got a 9-man rotation, 8-man rotation at best. Yeah. Portland can go deeper than that and not really affect the standard of quality that's coming off that bench.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you know?
Absolutely agreed.
And that's going to be a massive factor.
I think last night we had a little taste of Portland's potential. However, they're not going to go deep in the playoffs. Even if they win this round against the Nuggets, they're not going deep.
No.
But if they don't make any changes to their team, big changes, next year's going to be the same, and the year after, and the year after.
Just like it has been for the last 3 years. Yeah, I could.
But this is what I'm saying. How long can Portland keep these players happy with losing?
Yeah.
Essentially,
Dame more than anyone. I personally, me and Mike spoke about this earlier today. I think maybe a Nurkic for BAM sort of deal could be a game changer for both teams. I think.
Do you think Miami will take a straight up trade like that though, or do you reckon other pieces will need to be included?
I think if anyone doesn't take that, Portland doesn't take that. I think maybe they'd have to. Maybe Miami would have to throw in something else. But I think.
Two completely different kind of players.
CJ could get you a lot. CJ could get you a lot, and Dame is the franchise player.
And CJ doesn't strike me as a person who's going to come out and go, you know what, I want to be a franchise player now. I want to go off and get a Supermax contract. I don't think he's that player. I think he's got a really good relationship with Dame.
It's kind of like Curry and Clay.
Until proven wrong. I think that's how it is. It
is like Curry and Clay, but I don't think they work as well as Curry and Clay.
No. I'm excited to see that next year, but yeah.
Yeah, I am excited. We won't get into that. We got into that for about 15 minutes last week.
Well, while we are talking about the Portland-Denver matchup, though, I want to throw something out there, and it's a bit of a, could be seen as a debatable topic at what point in this stage, but I want to hear Aaron's thoughts more than anything. Carmelo Anthony, he's doing really well at the moment. He's found a team now he's happy with.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, does he make the Hall of Fame? Is he a candidate for the Hall of Fame? And I'm going to throw out there, I'm going to say no.
Nah, he's definitely making the Hall of Fame.
But I don't-
there's no question about it.
No, but regardless, right? If you look at his accolades, he's not got anything else apart from this, scoring champion back in 2003, for example, or whatever it was.
8 years of
2013,
his career,
but
he didn't miss the playoffs.
Okay, let's. All right,
didn't do anything either.
Mike, I agree with what you're getting at. He's not got no accolades other than.
He's not got rings.
He's not got any accolades. He's not got
any
an
appearances. He's got scoring titles.
So he's got 10 All-Star appearances in 17 seasons, which is not amazing.
Let me put this out there. If LeBron doesn't enter the league at the same time as Carmelo does, he's getting Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything, him like coming out of the West or anything like that. But he's always been second best through the entire of his career. Coming runner up to LeBron pretty much in everything.
At every stage.
In every point of his career.
And up until he left New York, every time they faced each other, it was Melo. Melo Bron.
Yeah, but other people have had opportunities. Like you could use that for anyone in this day and age where LeBron's in the league. But other people have won MVPs while LeBron's in this league. Other people won other teams.
Ben Wallace in the fucking Hall of Fame, man. They're going to put Carmelo.
And this is my point. I think it's wrong that they're putting players who probably what people wouldn't have classified as Hall of Fame years ago into the Hall of Fame just because it's now a title that you put next to someone's name. Oh, Carmelo Anthony's a Hall of Famer. Okay, great. What did he achieve in his career?
Yeah,
he was All-Star 10 times.
Say that about Chris Webber. Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers still regardless, you know what I mean?
I'd say Reggie Miller still did more for the game than Carmelo. Carmelo's always been a bit of a
Carmelo's
fringe.
a nasty boy.
Carmelo is a bad man.
Carmelo in the mid-2000s was a nasty boy. He was a nasty boy. And then, I mean, you put him in the East. Just put, Carmelo gets drafted to Detroit, sorry. If Carmelo got drafted to Detroit, I guarantee you they're in the finals.
He did go.
He made at least one finals.
He did go to the East and the Knicks and didn't really.
Yeah, but that's
achieve what he wanted to.
His prime at that point.
I wouldn't.
Desperate.
I'll take that back. It wasn't late in his career,
No.
but it was a money move. Him going
It
to
was
the Knicks
after
was a
the
money
year
move.
he thought he could have won MVP.
And the majority of Knicks fans.
That was the year after Denver made a deep playoff run, getting to the Western Finals, and he carried that team. Literally from start to finish, his career started in Denver, and up until he left New York, he was carrying both those teams.
Yeah, majority of Knicks fans,
offensively and overall effort wise, tenfold. He was a reason why those teams made the playoffs.
Yeah, but the majority of Knicks fans would tell you they didn't enjoy Carmelo's time in New York.
No.
But that's
and they
didn't have a winning.
I mean, they had a stacked team, geez. They had fucking Tyson Chandler, Amari Stoudemire. They pulled in a couple of vets towards the end.
Billups, he was included in the initial trade to the Knicks. J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith and Marshawn
Jason
that were playing well.
Given Jason Kidd towards the end of his...
This is what I'm saying. I had a couple of people at the end of their careers. But
and this is what I'm saying. I respect Carmelo hugely as an NBA player, and I think he's well regarded. But I think slapping titles like Hall of Fame on people when they haven't won a ring or an actual accolade of some value, or done something that's going to walk out and go, you know what, you changed the game in some way. I think that sort of decredits the other Hall of Famers in the league. And if there's an accolade you can give him below a Hall of Fame but above sort of like the average player, he's in that category for me. He really is. He's a great NBA player.
I think he's
brilliant.
top 10 scoring in the NBA history. I think that earns you.
That'll get you.
Yeah, but you got the ball in the hands every single night.
He's that good.
Oh, is he that good?
Was that good?
Not
as good anymore. Obviously. Right.
All right, move it on. Yeah.
Shall we move on? Who we got next? Shall we move on to
Utah? Let's talk about Utah.
Oof. Okay.
Let's talk about the series first, and then we'll get into Utah as a team because some issues. There's some issues there. Let's talk about Game 1. Game 1, Grizzlies snatched it. No Donovan Mitchell. We'll talk about that in a minute.
No, they did very well to catch a Game 1 away.
They catch it or do they steal it? Do you think had Donovan Mitchell been on that floor, which he was asking to be, do you reckon they still take Game 1?
No, I don't think they do.
Probably not.
I don't think they take Game 1 if Donovan Mitchell's there. And game 2 shows that.
Yeah.
With Ja Morant going off.
I mean, just the offense alone, 141 points.
Yeah.
141 points. Something's clicking well if you're scoring that much.
And it's not like, this is what I'm saying, it's not like the Memphis Grizzlies played shit. Like, they played really well. And just while we're on the subject, Dylan Brooks is probably my biggest playoff scorer.
Oh, man, I love Dylan Brooks. I think he's amazing right now.
Yeah.
I love Grizzlies.
I like the Grizzlies.
Massive respect from the way they play basketball right now. Like, huge respect.
Huge respect for the way they're playing. And going forward, this is only a good thing. If they keep this team next year, they could make a run. They could make a good push. This is a good bit of experience. You're going against the number 1 seed. Yes, maybe the Jazz don't make the number 1 seed over the next few seasons. You know, it's an up and down season. You know, some people could say it's not where it should be, blah, blah, blah. But it's still good experience.
Well, this is Jar's first actual playoff run appearances, and he's dropping 44 points like it's nothing.
He's not scared. He's not scared of that one.
And this is what we were saying earlier. I respect Jar, and I hope he doesn't get an injury because of the way he plays at some point and has to adjust it. But the way he will run at Rudy Gobert and get blocked, and I mean quite nicely blocked as well, but then he'll go straight back at him the next play and just drive at the hole again. Now 9 times out of 10 another player's pulling up from the mid-range, don't want to get blocked. He don't care. No, he don't care. He's a hungry second-year player. He's going to drive at you and make you more intimidated. He's going to keep coming. He's really that dogging. Like, do you know what I mean?
He knows people are overlooking him because it's his first playoff appearance. But the guy's a dog. Yeah. He's a tough guy. But like Mike says, it worries me the way he attacks the hoop. It worries me sometimes.
Oh, some of the falls he takes. It's painful.
I'm just
painful
seeing D Rose all over again.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but
nah.
It happens with these explosive players.
Yeah, and
like Russ, the first few years of Russ being about, it was
and he strikes me as a really hungry and a real lover of basketball player. So he will at some stage develop a smooth jumper. Like if you look at his form right now, he's got a good technique behind his shot. He's just not consistent. He doesn't really drop enough. So his game at the moment is pretty one-dimensional. It's drive and finish, drive and dish, drive and finish, drive and dish. Now, as soon as he gets a mid-range or even a three-point shot under his belt, which is consistent, he's a problem across the league. Yeah, like a real problem. He already is, but he'll be even bigger a problem.
I personally think it's a big if he develops a jump shot. If he does, we're talking MVP.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be foolish not to.
We'll be talking in the MVP runnings for sure.
But you know, as you're saying, Dylan Brooks, I love this guy. Roughly, still young as well. What is he? 22, 23?
I think he's 22.
Yeah, 22-year-old kid, and he's not afraid. Like he's fantastic on the defensive end. Don't get me wrong. He's
25. Sorry,
25. He's fantastic on the defensive end, and he's not afraid to guard anyone. Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
He'll look at his assignment and go, right, who's the toughest person on the floor? He was guarding Curry, for example, in that playing final, and all right, Curry still did his business, but he could have been a lot more damaging than what Dylan Brooks obviously guarded him at. And I think that's a real credit to Memphis, especially on the defensive end. And you've got other pieces around him. But do I think Memphis have got enough to take another game away from the Jazz? I think they will take one.
You think they'll take
one? I think they'll take one. I really hope they do.
Going to 7 or 6? I mean,
6. I don't think they'll take 2 more. I don't think it'll be 3-3. I think they'll take one more game, and then it'll be 6, and then, you know, Jazz will handle their business, which is fair enough.
I think, I mean, disregarding game 2, that, you know, obviously they won game 1. Game 3, it was a 10-point win, but sometimes the result doesn't
reflect the game.
Yeah, it doesn't speak the true value of the game. And I think, you know, I think I'm there with you. I think that maybe they snatch another one.
Yeah, I think
they do match up well, and I think Donovan Mitchell, he's played consistent. I think he's dropped 25 in both games.
That man's got something to prove.
D-Mitch.
After losing last year, it being up 3-1, he's got something to prove, and he's shown that coming back.
Yeah,
I like that about him,
and especially being held out in game 1, which we'll move on to in a second. I think I mean, they're the number 1 seed anyways. Like,
Yeah, and rightfully so as well, in my opinion. I think they've really clicked together. And people had doubts after, obviously, the whole Gobert thing and the whole, blast up. Are they going to still continue to play well and link up? Yes, it's basketball at the end of the day. And you say your piece, you get on, you handle your business, you've got a contract to run through, and it's your job, isn't it? You turn up and you play basketball. You have to get on. And I think they've still performed really highly every single week, every time they step on the floor. They still link up, they play well together, fantastically well. And I think other pieces around him as well. We keep saying about the depth in teams. Jazz have depth.
Jazz.
I mean,
Jazz have
6th
depth.
man of the year, Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, which is he's been overlooked quite a bit throughout most of his career. And
their starting 5 is badass. I mean, Bojan Bogdanovic. Not to get confused with all 20 other Bogdanovic's. Bojan Bogdanovic.
How big's your family, fam?
Yeah, you know, Mike Connolly, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal.
It's a solid.
It's a solid unit, man. They're all putting up double figures in every game. And, Rudy Gobert is obviously in the running for Defensive Player of the Year every year.
Again.
Mike Connolly comes from the grind it out Grizzlies.
Yeah.
He was him and Tony Allen, the foundation of that. And he's instilling it in this Utah team. I think Mike Connolly was a great pickup for him. Great pickup for him. Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago they traded for him. Joe Ingles coming off the bench, Jordan Clark's coming off the bench, Derek Favors.
I think that's a big move by the Jazz having Ingles come off the bench this year.
Yeah.
Rather than starting. He's not as quick as the other guys, and you like the guys that are have got a bit more speed behind them when they're guarding the other guys' stars like LeBron James, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Those guys, you need someone with a bit of speed and power.
But Joe Ingles is just plopping on a 3-point line.
That's
it.
it.
Kicking it.
If you need someone to trash talk, get Ingles in the game. Get Ingles in the game. He's going to rustle some jimmies.
I love that. Yeah, so Speaking of Utah, how do we feel about the whole Donovan Mitchell situation? Do we see him staying, being that there's been some issues there, in the team and with the front office? Front office obviously holding him out for game 1. And then they lost. Then him coming out publicly saying that he was ready to play and they held him out.
How many times have players come out, though, after a loss and said, I was ready to play, to show that I'm ready, I'm that NBA player, I want to play.
He practiced that morning, said he was ready in the press conference, and half hour before the game, the team said they're holding him out. Now, in a regular season game, whatever, man. Game 1 of the playoffs, no.
Number 1
You don't hold people out. Unless it's a Kevin Durant Warriors kind of injury, that he could risk doing serious damage to himself, as obviously we saw in the 2019 finals. Oh, LeBron, sorry, we are currently watching the Lakers-Phoenix game, and, I think this one could be over early. But yes, I don't see them being happy on the Donovan Mitchell side.
Is it justifiable on the front office team by saying, we are playing the 8th seed, we're the number 1 seed, we didn't want to risk it because if you go down in game 1 and you're out for the rest of the playoffs or the rest of the series, then we're even more screwed. Do you see what I mean? If it's a case of, we play game 1, we see how it is. If they won game 1, this isn't a conversation because then the front office didn't mess up. Okay,
Agreed.
So I think it's a case of Donovan Mitchell, without that, is a star asset. Yeah, he's a leading scorer. He's the person that makes things click. Do you want to go game 1, fresh off an injury, push him 100%, and then injure him further? Or do you put him on a minutes restriction, and then if they lose that one and say, why'd you play him? He's on a minutes restriction. Or just keep him out and just say, we'll rest up this one, come back game 2. Hopefully we won up. If we're not, we'll fully believe that you're going to bring us to 1-1 and we'll take home the series. Do you see what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but it's Donovan Mitchell that's disgruntled. It's Donovan Mitchell that's not happy. They cleared him. Medical team cleared him to play. He practiced. He'd been practicing. How long did he have off? 6 weeks? Around that?
But there must have been a reason why, if you're a head coach of the Jazz and your medical team come up to you and say he's cleared, that you must have a reason a valid reason to turn around and say, I'm going to sit him though. I doubt that, Quinn Snyder's going to turn around and say, you know what, nah, don't really want to win this game, just keep him out. He must have turned around and gone, yeah, but something don't feel right. Do you know what I mean? There's no way a head coach will go, right, my star player's healthy, I'm told he's healthy, I'm just not going to play in this game because I don't feel like it. He must have had a valid reason. And I get Donovan Mitchell's point of view, and the fact is that he's a passionate basketball player, he's young, he feels like he could run through anything, he would probably run through walls if he wanted to. But if your head coach tells you that, something don't feel right, we're going to sit you out for this game to see how things play out, and if it goes tits up, I'll take full credit for it. It's my responsibility. And if it goes well, I'll also take full responsibility. A great call from me.
Admittedly,
again, going back to the Warriors-Raptors final, Durant said he was ready to play.
Yeah, look how that turned out.
Look what happened now.
Players don't always know best.
No, exactly. Yes. And in the playoffs, they're willing to give more. They're willing to give their bodies. So I think it's a tough one because your number one seed the dominant conference, first home game of the playoffs, it's a tough call. You want your star player there, but
you also want him there for the next game.
You want him for the next round? Yeah. Because we all know that the Jazz are going to the next round.
Yeah, and this is the thing. If they make it to the Western Conference Final, this all gets brushed under the rug. But in my personal opinion, for Donovan Mitchell to come out publicly and say that he's not happy with what happened and how it went down, keeping in mind the Rudy Gobert issues that they've had, and
do you think he'll regret coming out publicly? Because he's not the first time he's come out publicly and said things. He's a bit of an outspoken person. His personality is outspoken.
Will he regret it? No, because I don't think he wants to. I don't think he want to be there. I think unless they make if they get knocked out in the second round, who will they be facing in the second round? The Lakers. They'll be facing the Lakers in the second round, providing they beat the Suns, obviously.
4-point game right now. It's
yeah, they've just pulled it up, haven't they? If they get beaten in the second round, I think maybe this.
I'll just see why they pulled it back. Cole Kuzma's on the floor.
I think maybe this gets heated. If they make it to the Western Conference Finals, maybe it gets brushed under the rug.
So it's a game of ifs and buts right now then, right? If it all goes well, it's brushed under the carpet. If it goes tits up...
me personally, I'm not pissing off my star player. I'm not pissing off my star player.
No.
Not especially if he's going to come out publicly and admit that he's not happy.
It's not affected his performances.
It's not. No.
He can't be that upset.
He's not had bubble numbers, but
he can't be that upset.
And 29.
He's ready to catch
that's because
I'm telling you.
That's because he's still carrying a bit of an injury. That's why he's not putting up bubble numbers.
Right. Let's move on. Shall we go to my favourite series in the playoffs so far? Clippers Mavs.
Why is this your favourite, by the way?
I hate the Clippers so much.
Yes, bro.
So much.
Take some fucking cheddar for that, bro.
Okay.
Man, anytime you dunk on a scrub and then three of your players scream at that scrub and then you catch an L, I mean, you don't deserve to be here. Like, obviously the Clippers play some fantastic ball when they want, but the first two games, Pandemic P back again. He managed to have himself an okay game.
Yeah.
An okay game in game 3.
Was trash. Game 2, he put up some standard numbers. Obviously, game 2 is that night Kawhi got 41. Paul George got 28 in game 2, so he's not. He's not Pandemic awful. P. He's not Pandemic P. Game 1 he was.
But he like.
Yeah,
it just makes me laugh.
I don't like the Clippers either. I admitted it in the first episode.
Imagine openly tanking the last 2 games of the season to catch Mavs.
To catch the Mavs to get
slapped
twice. And if I'm the Mavs, I'm taking that personally. Like, we're gonna tank to avoid the Lakers. Let's just play the Mavs and trash them. Lucas is no.
Lucas just been. He's probably been the toughest player in the playoffs in terms of what the guys he has to put up with playing against. Night in, night out, you've got trash talkers like Morris. You got Pat Bev.
Oh, yeah.
You've got...
Yeah.
Well, you haven't got Kawhi. I mean, the loudest you hear Kawhi is when he's having his oil changed.
Yeah, but these guys are seasoned pros though. Like, you know, Luka's been in the league, not in the league, but pro league for 8 years, and he's still quite young. He's had trash talking before from fans worse than what Markieff Morris and the Morris Twins and Pat Bev's going to talk to him. Yeah. He don't give a shit about that. He's going to drop 44 in your face and smile when he goes back on defense. That's what he's going to do.
That's it. I mean, he's switching out for Pat Bev most of the time down the floor, letting him chat shit, dropping a bomb on his face. And then going, you're too small, bro. You're too small. You see you're a little boy.
While being 2 inches too short, yeah? If you're 2 inches shorter than the fucking person you're talking to and you're chatting shit, nah, walk away. I'm sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah, and...
So losing game 3, the Mavs, is that a hiccup?
I'm shocked.
Is that a hiccup from the Mavs?
I was expecting him to win it.
I think maybe a little bit of pressure. Obviously, fans, you know, not being there so much. Fans never having seen the Mavs play in the playoffs, obviously, because of the bubble last year. Maybe pressure.
Well, what? Porzingis only put up 9 points. Historically, before that, he was putting up at least 11 points more than that. You know, he was hitting the 20s. And Hardaway even had a bit of a shaky game in that one as well, whereas, they're playing a little bit more on fire, and for whatever reason, it could be, you say, pressure in front of their home fans for the first time, but Luka's still handling his business.
I mean, Luka's doing Luka. 44, 9 and 9, come on.
Yeah, Luka looked at it, went challenge accepted, you know.
But that's the thing, he can't do it on his own. I mean, Jalen Brunson, he played pretty well, 14 points. 66% from three. He played all right, but like you say, if Hardaway, if he's not putting it out,
Hardaway had a good couple of games, the first 2 games.
Yeah, but it's consistency across. You're playing a potential 7-game series here. You need to be consistent, and this is where I think the Mavs will probably have their fall off. Is that it's teams like this, and it's teams like even Phoenix, for example, we're watching now. Booker, Doncic, these players will hit their numbers. Yeah, they know their business. They know what they've got to achieve. But I'm sorry, you don't win a game by scoring 44 points. Yeah, if you're scoring 44 points and the other team against you is scoring 120, you're going to need the rest of your team to sort of back you up here and get some numbers on the board. Yeah. You've got to trust your team. Fantastic. Luka does by getting 9 assists, 10 assists a night, whatever he does. He also gets his point on the boards. But if you're throwing the ball into the hands of, let's say, Tim Hardaway, and that shot's not knocking down, then someone else has got to step up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, someone else has got to be that second option to go to.
I think Porzingis in the first 2 games was taking on that second option, and he looked happy playing, I think, for the first time in a long time. And I personally didn't watch game 3 because I thought it was going to be a whitewash. I don't even think I watched the highlights, but stats show that Porzingis didn't want to be in the building.
What are we going? Are we going to lock the Mavs in to win this series?
I'm still saying the Mavs.
Yeah, I'll still go the Mavs.
It's a hiccup.
I'll go the Mavs. I think
it would be extreme for the Clippers to take one tonight.
Yeah.
I think it would be extreme.
I don't think
in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think Dallas lose back to back in Dallas.
Nah,
not at all.
Not. And then it's a 3-1 deficit. And
I reckon it's done 4-1.
Has Kawhi been too quiet for you? Do you think
the thing
he could be doing more?
Is he quietly heats up, and if you let him quietly,
because he don't say anything. That's why.
Game. That is game. No, he'll make a couple of layups. He'll make a couple of mid-range jumpers. Before you know it, he's got 20 in the first half.
Yeah, he's
and then
a silent scorer.
Before you know it, his teammate, you double Kawhi, and then his teammates knocking it down. The thing is, I love Kawhi's game. He doesn't talk trash. He lets his game do the talking. It's all these other guys around him.
When he's not the minutes restriction, sitting on the bench, going, I'll drop my money, but my knee's sore. Yeah, but who do you have guarding Luka then to stop him in the next game? Do you put PG on him? Do you put Kawhi on him? You got two capable defenders though.
You just send in a double every time, like they have been. But the good thing about Luka is, you got to remember over in Europe, they're playing on a smaller court, and 2, like we said, he's been playing as a pro for 8 years. Like, this is nothing to him. The court must look so much bigger to him over there, and obviously I know he's was he in his third year? Is he?
Yeah.
Third year, yeah. He's relishing the challenge though. He's loving it. He's loving it. And he looks.
And, he's been in the top 5 MVP for the last 2 years.
Yeah. And you know what I love about Luka at the moment and watching him play, and what's really enjoyable, which I thought I'd never say because when you're growing up you like all these fancy players like your Westbrooks and your D Roses. Luka is so fundamentally sound. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't do anything above his abilities, but he knows what he can do and he does that well. So fundamental. He's like Pop's dream to coach, if that makes sense. Yeah, he would love to have him on his side. A European guy who doesn't do anything too dramatic, but he'll get you buckets and he'll lead your team.
He's unselfish and he knows how to play.
He just picks apart. He reads the floor and he just picks it apart with ease. He's 22 years old.
Would you reckon?
And he
A
does
couple
it with
years
ease.
MVP?
Or
Or at least a candidate.
Yeah.
So the
I
thing
mean, he's
is-
been a candidate for the last 2 years.
Yeah, the
He's
MVP
been
race
top 5
is
for
going
the
to be
last 2
really
years.
tough over the next few years. There's so many good players finding their feet in the league at the moment. It's going to, to be even considered an MVP race, I think you've got to look at yourself and go, I've had a good bloody year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's going to be tough.
He just needs, like we were saying, he just needs that supporting cast. If Porzingis can stay healthy and play even 3/4 of what he was in New York, then
I'm going to put it out there. It's not going to be Porzingis that if they want to move further, it's not going to be Porzingis, mate.
That's what I'm saying.
Who's it going to be then? Tim Hardaway?
If he does,
Get rid of Porzingis, I think, next season, because I don't see how it will work out.
But I think a healthy Porzingis suits Luka well.
Yeah, of course it does.
I think that link up's really good. I don't think if you put it this way, right? You trade away Porzingis. Let's look at other teams looking to trade at the moment. You bring in Bam into the Mavs. That ain't working.
No,
like the way Porzingis and Luka work when they're healthy, it works so well.
Yeah.
Because Luka's IQ and he knows that Porzingis wants to step outside a little bit. He's not a big man. He doesn't like the post. He's scared of the post. We get that. But he understands what he wants to do. Bam's too erratic. You don't want, Luka wants people that he knows he can read.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But Porzingis, we all know Porzingis is one injury away from having no more career.
Also,
let's be honest.
Also,
he's been in the league, 7 years?
I want to see Boban. Bring me Boban.
Yeah.
We didn't get a minute last. I want to see Boban. 7'3".
That man is a
big
tree.
man.
A great oak.
He's too busy filming the next Lord of the Rings. He's not. He's not in the playoffs right now. He's Boban, friendly giant. He's gone. No, he can't play in the playoffs. He's too friendly.
Too friendly.
We need trash talkers against the Clippers, not complimenters. Hey, nice shot, PG.
Yeah.
Right, what's next on the agenda?
Should we move on to Dunked or Denied? Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
What you got for us,
Wander
bro?
over to Dunked or Denied. Oh, big controversy this week. The NBA fans are allowed back into the stadiums finally. Playoffs. And look what has happened. Week 1.
Filth, mate.
Week 1. We have Brody getting a whole bucket of popcorn. Walking off with
Dropped
an
on his
injury.
nut.
With an injury. He's walking off. And the fan drops a bucket of...
Fucking
I hope it was
butter,
sweet because
extra
Brody was
butter.
salty already, man.
Oh, mate.
Not
Cheese.
I mean, you're brave. He's walking into the tunnel.
Yeah.
You know he can't get you, and you deserve that ban, man. I mean, and it's the same thing with the whole Trae Young spitting incident.
that for me was too far.
That is too
That's
far.
far.
I mean, even
Yeah.
I think it was 50 Cent sitting in front of him. Even if I'd have noticed that, if you'd spat over my shoulder and I'm sitting courtside, I'm fighting you. Whether you were spitting at me or not, I will fight you. That is absolutely disgusting. And I think, Trae Young, he's playing the villain role really well. And
Why is this guy's
every
mask
Knicks-
even off? Like,
every
how are you
Knicks-
spitting through a mask?
Yeah. Every Knicks fan
This
hates
is-
Trae Young right now, but that's too far, man.
I mean,
These are
spitting
humans.
in general is the most disrespectful thing you can do in
Absolutely.
confrontation. Spitting during a
Absolutely.
pandemic,
Yeah.
you're an idiot.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and they deserve everything they got. I mean, that guy had his season ticket revoked.
ASAP.
The Brody one, the popcorn, I think it's still bad, but I've seen fans throwing drinks and
ice,
all kinds of shit
Malice
on
in the
people as they go
Palace.
through.
Malice in the Palace.
And the thing is, I think media run away with it and they overreact. You know, people were saying, "Oh, he's throwing popcorn at a player, he should be arrested and charged and shit like that."
Yeah, that's
I'm
too
sorry, yeah, but if I go to the cinema tomorrow and throw a bit of popcorn down someone, we're probably going to fight. We ain't going to get arrested. We're probably just going to settle up like men, and that's what Brody was trying to do. He was trying to say, like, you know, it's more the fact of. Right, he's already upset because he's injured, and now you just try to embarrass the man, like, and that's pride. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't.
I mean, yeah, but it's still disrespectful. You can't. I mean, they're human beings at the end of the day. You know, they're not there.
They're there to entertain you.
They are there
at the
for
end
your
of the day.
entertainment, but they're there to do a job, and their job is to play basketball.
Oh yeah.
You're not good enough. That's why you're in the stands watching them.
Appreciate
You've paid money to go and watch that game.
The thing is, that guy probably dropped about 20 bags to get them seats.
The Knicks guy, he's put a lot of money. That season ticket probably cost a lot of money.
Now, look what's happened now.
You go support some Nets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where James Harden buys all the tickets. You know what I mean? Also, Ja Morant's
slap in the face.
Ja Morant's parents having a tough time in Utah as well. Some racist remarks being chucked out there as well. It's just
it never stands. You can't never stand for that.
No, we can't allow that.
It's just, I mean, in this day and age, especially with everything that's going on in America, I'm
a firm believer. If you're a fan, you should be able to say what you want to a degree. Don't cross that line and don't step into the players' world.
There's hecklers and there's hecklers.
There's hecklers and there's being
hecklers.
Physical with people, and
then there's
it's crossing the line.
Yeah,
we can't have that around the game, especially in the
stands.
stands.
It's zero tolerance, absolute zero tolerance. Oh my god! Holy shit! Second quarter, 2:59 to go. LeBron just yammed on Mans off the backboard. Oh my God.
Well, I say the other day, don't worry about his age. Worry about 23. That's the number coming at you. It's not 36, 37, whatever his age is. It's 23 coming at you. That's...
Dang.
I'll tell you what, he just felt that 23 all over his back. He felt 23 all over him right there.
My goodness. We will put an edit in with that soundbite. That was off the chain.
Yeah. Sorry, Devin.
Look at Kuzma running the lane as if he's going to get the ball.
Who was that campaign that tried going up for that? I mean, that's almost a Jason Terry Volume 2. No, that ain't campaign.
No. That's disgusting.
Oh.
Now, in today's day and age, you'd probably think, right, LeBron's what, 36, 37, you know, year 18, you'd probably think that should be LeBron chucking up to Caruso, the young legs.
Yeah,
no, he just got up there like he's nothing.
Wowzers.
Fair play. All right, we're off
Adam,
topic.
get on the edit for that.
Right.
We got you, bro.
Next up, so fan behaviour, it's obviously denied.
Oh, deny. Anything that crosses, anything that's, you can't really say anything beyond verbal.
You can't throw stuff at players. You can't talk to the family. It's just straight up disrespectful.
Look, just keep it.
It's disgusting.
Just keep it basketball.
Yeah.
Just keep it basketball. Talk about their game. Talk about, you know, how things are going. Don't make it personal. That's just, and do not.
Say something, just say the referee's a wanker. That's it.
Yeah. You'd probably be truthful with.
Broken dish out lessons on that if you want a seasoned vet in abusing referees.
I don't know the right person. There's a few texts being thrown your way a few times. I think Brett's definitely crossed that line.
Yes. Right, so next, Tatum, Celtics next, last game, dropping a 50 bag.
Last game, that's the last game they win, mate. Last game.
That's the last game they win. To the question, are the Celtics back in, or is this still a dub for the Nets?
It's a breeze for the Nets.
It's a breeze.
The Nets just let it slide. Kyrie had an awful game.
Yeah, they're slipping. But mate, I think, to be honest with you, and I think this is really bad for the Nets as well, because I reckon the Bucks are looking there going, "Fucking hell, do you see what Tatum and Celtics just did to these guys? We're just going to piss all over them."
This is what I say. They're sitting there for the next week and a half. They are watching tape. They are figuring it out.
Yeah, and that's going to give them confidence. If you've seen a beaten up and a broken down, you know, Boston team with no Jaylen Brown, a couple other pieces missed as well, and they're causing issues for the Nets, Bucks are licking their lips.
A couple of questionable calls as well, and the Celtics still managed to pull it out of the bag.
I mean, Jason Tatum dropping 50. James Harden had 41 and Kevin Durant had 39, and the Celtics still walked away with it. Now, TD Garden is obviously not an easy place to walk in and catch a win, no matter what, especially in a playoff situation. But with the Celtics being as undermanned as they are, you got to close it out, and the Nets let one slide. Might open some questions though. It might open some questions, but I am going to take a denied that changes anything to the series.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same. It's still a done deal in the long run.
Well,
Celtics aren't going to get another done.
Things do change, right? So the Nets won game 1, what is it? 130, 108. Okay, and everyone sat there and went, it's a sweep. Overpowering Boston too much. It is what it is, okay. Game 2, Nets win again. Okay, it wasn't very good. They shot 23% from 3, and they still managed to come out with a win. Fair play. Okay. Now, game 3, dropping a game, it's interesting, but I don't think it matters.
No.
I don't think it matters. I think they're too overpowered. They're too top heavy with Durant and your Hardens and your whatever version of Kyrie turns up on the day. You know, either he loves basketball, doesn't love basketball that day, thinks the Earth's round or the Earth's flat that day. It doesn't really matter. He's still gonna.
I was Buddhist yesterday, and today I must be Muslim. So
yeah. This is what I mean, and I think the reason why Boston won game 3, and yes, Jason Tatum's 50 points was a big part of that. Okay, fair credit. Yeah, scoring half the team's points, fair enough. But Tristan Thompson a lot more physical. He got most of the offensive boards and stuff like that. Yeah, he was old Cleveland Tristan Thompson. You know, that physicality, doing what you need to do to help the team. He hasn't been that for Boston so far up until now. Fair play. And then you've got other players that are contributing. Kemba Walker was a little bit more himself. Nothing really too special, but it's a little bit more there than what it has been. And it was just a little bit more of a confident throughout. But I think as soon as, Nets could turn up game 4, start a blowout in the first quarter, and completely dent Celtics' confidence. Yeah. And they can do that. They've got the power to do that, okay?
Oh, for sure. And that would just be a done deal. I mean,
sign it off.
Sign it off. It's an absolute denied.
I don't know if you boys.
There's no way the Celtics are even getting it.
If you boys watched the Nets game or you watched the highlights of the Nets game, you'd notice that game 3, their defense was so lackluster. They just, it's like fucking James Harden back in Houston days, where his defense is just nothing really.
And this is what Aaron said on the first podcast: is if they start going back to their, James Harden playing ISO ball, and then this is what happened. I did see a lot
of that in that game.
And this is what happened, and it was the same result that you used to get in Houston.
Yeah. And that's what they can't do. They can't play ISO ball. They have to learn to play as a team. But Kyrie's never been really that much of a team. He's never been the assistant point guard, has he? He's always been a scoring point guard. So he's not really that man to run that point.
He's not the playmaker.
No. Durant is Durant. He's a scorer. Okay, he's a bit more. He's happy to bring people into the team because he had to play with people like Steph before, who shared a lot of the load with him. And then you've got Harden, who...
Harden has to be the playmaker.
He has to be the playmaker, and he has to be the person who takes the last shot, and he has to be the person who crosses over 3 times before he pulls up for no apparent reason, even if there's no defender in front of him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's great. It's great you dropped 41. 10 assists. The stats show that he was distributing, but he's not playmaking like he should be. If you're dropping 41, you're not. 41 in a loss just ain't shit.
How many assists did he have? 41 points?
10 assists.
10 assists? It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
But then when you're passing the ball to Kevin, when you're passing the ball to Kevin Durant, he's not going to be a bad option to pass to. Do you know what I mean? I bet you, right? I didn't see the full game. I saw the highlights. I bet you passed that ball when you had to.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no play there to say, right, James Harden, you're going to wait for. Yeah, you're going to wait for Kevin Durant to get open.
Run the clock down till
it has to be dished, and rather than passing it to a PJ Tucker or Eric Gordon, he's passing it to a Kevin Durant, who's considered one of the best scorers of all time,
and rightly so.
Rightly so, yeah, absolutely. And he dropped 39, so there's many assists sitting there.
Tatum, I love your game, but you've been denied, mate. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, good night.
Right, and now
everyone turn up dressed in black.
The Nando series.
Speaking of Nando's, I'm a bit peckish. Bro. What's going on?
You might be.
Uber Eats haven't turned up yet. Is that order been placed or
Nah.
is it on hold to see if the Nuggets make it out? See if
See, I heard this on the podcast, right? I heard about this, and as soon as you said, "Oh, I reckon Wizards will take game one," I looked at well, an inner version of you because we weren't there at the time. And I wanted to slap you. I really wanted to slap you so hard.
And
I wanted a skit of me
let's
just.
be real. Let's just take it back. What was your reasoning for?
Yeah,
this
can we be logical about it? And I mean logical. What the hell was you thinking?
I'll tell you what his reasoning.
Can I
was.
even finish the question?
No.
No, this is the question. What was you thinking?
Philly, is it a sweep? I'm getting abused here, so let's move on. It's going to be.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you have one of your feelings and let us
Right.
know?
Yeah,
Give us a little. What are you feeling, Brench? What are you
not
feeling, bro?
good. I'm not feeling good about Wizards getting.
Because you
it
was
done.
feeling
Hey,
good.
Brett, I fancy a Nando's. Do you reckon Wizards take game
Man,
4?
you turn up to the next podcast. You didn't show up to the first one. I've got one up on you. Okay,
Yeah, you went up on me, but you won down on Nando's.
that's fine. Fine. I've only got to buy it for one of you.
No, absolutely not.
Philly going sweep. It's a dunk for me.
Yeah, it's a dunks. Yeah, there's no chance. There's no chance that Wizards.
Get
pull
your
one.
rest, though.
Bradley Beal can be as optimistic as he likes. I ain't even looked into the series. Is Russell Westbrook even getting triple doubles?
He's getting turned ankles. That's what he's getting.
Yeah, he's falling apart a little bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, game one.
Game one was
That
alright.
was an okay game.
That was alright. Philly pulled away in the fourth, and that's that.
So this is it, right? You say is Russell Westbrook getting triple doubles? Got a triple double last game. Lost by almost 30, 29.
It doesn't matter, does it? It really does.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, okay, you got Joel Embiid who's doing really well. The one person I'm really liking to watch at the moment, two people really, Tobias Harris, having himself a bit of a series,
Tobias Harris is dope.
and Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Now Ben Simmons might not be the highest scorer on that team, but I tell you what, he causes issues. His height, his speed, his versatility, both on the offense and defense, and he knows where to pass that ball. I love it. I love seeing it. I honestly do. I think.
Yeah, he's dope. He's dope. That's another example of somebody that needs to develop a jump shot. If he developed a jump shot again, he's an MVP. But yeah,
I think he's been trying.
he's been
It's just-
trying.
it's not
but
working, but
He's
he's-
been trying for a while.
when the whole of the NBA celebrates you making a 3-pointer, you know you got to go back in the lab for a while, didn't you? And you know, call that one out.
we might create a jubilee for that.
Statue of the Ark.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no chance the Wizards take one. Even if Bradley Beal drops 60 and Russell Westbrook has a 20, 20 and 20.
So what's next then? So Russell Westbrook's tried it in 3 different teams now. He tried it on OKC. He tried it at the Houston. He's now tried it in the Wizards. And
What's next? I think Bradley Beal's out of there.
Dragon, do you reckon Westbrook stays in?
They ain't got a fucking choice, mate.
he's contracted, mate. There's obviously requests that can be made.
I think I could be wrong. Could be wrong, but I think Bradley Beal might have a player option. But
Is he going to take that option? Would you take that option? If you're Bradley Beal, would you stay in Washington any longer?
The fuck out of the Wizards 2 years ago. If I was Bradley Beal, when he was on his climb, get him out then.
You
Get him out then.
went out when John Wall wanted out, yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
Where do you reckon he go? Where would you want to go though? Would you want to link back up with John Wall again in Houston?
No.
where would I like Bradley Beal to go? That's a tough one. Lakers, man.
It's a cop out.
It's not a cop out.
I don't think you can say cop out nowadays, NBA.
You can't say cop out nowadays. Oh, what are you going to say then?
Why
Brooklyn?
is he going to leave being one of the first or second option?
Because LeBron
to
will
go
be
to
in
be
year
the
19,
third,
and
fourth after Drummond.
LeBron will be in year 19, and AD will need help.
And why does everyone go to a super team? It's because that thing on your finger that glistens and you know goes, oh, you're a champion. That reason. It's an easy chip.
That's why they play.
It's an easy chip. If he goes to
it's an
Lakers,
easy chip.
Okay,
I don't
then.
respect Durant's ring in his first ring with the Warriors against, like, for example, Kawhi Leonard at the Raptors.
I think
You know,
Kawhi's
Kawhi put in a lot of work.
Kawhi's
in that team.
Raptors ring is quite a historic one because it was non-expected. I don't think
it's
anyone's expected to. But I also respect what KD did for himself because he saw an opportunity and took it. And I'll tell you what, if he didn't do that, it would be much more difficult for him to win a ring, which in all credit he deserves. For what he brings to the league and who he is as a player, he does deserve a ring. I know there's a lot of controversy around doing it in the Warriors, and I don't agree with super teams. I don't agree with what they did to, they lose against LeBron, let's go get Kevin Durant. I don't agree with that side of things. But if you're KD, and it's not KD's fault, but if you're KD and they present you this opportunity to say, it's your time now, come to the Warriors, win a ring, you're going to take it.
I disagree.
Surely not.
I think had Kevin Durant not been up on the Warriors 3-1 and lost 3 games straight in the Western Conference Finals to a team that had just won 73 games in a season, you can't join that team. Yes, he wants a ring. He wants a ring, but you got to think in his tenure in OKC.
The thing is, there's pride and there's a smart business decision.
He'd been to the finals, and obviously in the Western Conference Finals against the best regular season team ever, statistically. Yeah, give 1 year, sign a 1 year deal. He was 3-1 up. Sign a 1 year deal.
But in that same 1 year, he went.
And you just watch them get beat in the finals when they were 3-1 up.
By a lesser Cavs team.
By a lesser Cavs team than what you had in Oklahoma.
But you're talking from a fan perspective about what you want to see now. If you're talking about Kevin Durant and putting yourself in his shoes and his mindset, that's a smart business decision.
If I was Kevin Durant in his shoes, I would never go into that team. I'm more likely to go and play with LeBron than I am to go and play at the Warriors.
I think any player's going to go play with LeBron. Same outcome, he's still winning a ring.
Maybe a score
if you turn around and you say, right, I won't go join Curry and I won't join Clay, but I'll go join LeBron, you're getting more stick than what he's getting for joining. Do you know what I mean?
I think LeBron gets more stick for going after players.
Well, the thing is,
players get for going after LeBron.
The thing is, you could say the same thing for LeBron when he left the Cavs. He was building something. He knew he wasn't going to win a ring in Miami. The opportunity presented himself to go play with Bosh and Dwayne Wade. He went, he won a ring, handled his business. Yeah, and okay, fair credit, he came back to Cleveland and won him a ring later and down the line. But he knew to win a ring and to start off that trend of winning championships and that mentality, he had to leave Cleveland.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're leaving a team that just got beat in the Eastern Conference Finals because of you, and they was making no moves to make that team better, to a team that I don't even know if they made the 8th. I think they was 8th seed. I think Miami was 8th seed that year. You're not joining the 73
But it's what they built though. Bosh joined that same year, and
you tell me where the Raptors were that year. What Chris Bosh was doing.
Chris Bosh is Chris Bosh. He was a fantastic.
Chris Bosh is a fantastic power forward. Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you. But
he started. They started the first big three.
Ask yourself why LeBron left Cleveland.
No, I mean like in modern era, like a super team wise.
This is what I'm saying. Exactly.
Well,
the reason LeBron left Cleveland is because the Celtics built a team to take down LeBron. They built a team of, arguably a top 3 power forward of all time in Kevin Garnett, a top 3 shooter of all time in Ray Allen, and a top 3 wanker in Paul Pierce. They put that team together to take down LeBron with a young Rondo who was an absolutely phenomenal point guard. They built that team to take down LeBron, and Cleveland weren't going to do anything to make LeBron's life easier. So I think you can't compare the two. I don't think you can compare the two at all. I get Durant's got 2 rings, he's got 2 Finals MVPs. You went there and that's what you wanted. But they're uncredible to me. You can't. And even if he was to win a ring in Brooklyn now, it's not credible. I can't give him that.
The Brooklyn one's worse than the Warrior one. If they even win a ring, I think the concept of going to Brooklyn and doing what they did, and even before he retired, bringing LaMarcus Aldridge in, Griffin, Harden, that's just ridiculous. That's just
going for LaMarcus Aldridge.
That's just playing 2K and turning off the salary cap and bringing you players in on a trade override. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when he went to the Warriors, he filled a piece that was missing and he won them a championship. and fair play. I think not. I didn't like to see it. I still don't like to see it. I don't agree with it.
Wait.
But a business decision for him. He won his championship, which he wanted. He got what he wanted after all, and he was a massive component towards it. He didn't go and play a bit part role. He made the difference.
MVP. Yeah. But what piece was missing on a 73-9 win team?
A small forward / power forward.
Touche!
Who can shoot the fucking ball?
No, man, no.
When you've got a team that's sort of sussing you out, and then you've got the Splash Bros, and they play like a really good wing defence on you, and then you go, right, who's my third option then? Now, who do you want?
Who's your 10th option? Oh, let's get Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's a fantastic option. That's a great missing piece. Who was it before Kevin Durant? Who was on that position? Harrison Barnes?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, look. I mean, that's like you turn up to a scrimmage. You look at the team that's winning. You'd be like, I'll sub him for that team next.
Yeah,
and you do that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. But if you want to play the game, it's like, all right, this team's winning. This team's just won 73 games. How about we just,
if you go in, yeah, but if you want to go into a scrimmage, you want to go play with players that are going to make you better, and you're going to walk into a gym and go,
nobody makes Kevin Durant better.
Well, you can say that, but I think a lot of pieces around him make you feel better. Like if you're getting better shots and you're getting better looks and you take the pressure off him a lot more, he will be better.
Where did he win his MVP?
Where did he win his ring?
Yeah, but if he wanted to be a better player,
if he wanted to win a ring, does he do it back at Thunder still?
I think there was a good chance. They had that experience. I mean, they blew a 3-1 lead to that team that he joined. They was up 3-1. They were 12 minutes. 12 minutes. I think they was leading the third quarter of that game 7, and they fucking blew it.
Choked it, yeah. They choked it.
And let's be real. Obviously, we know how the 2016 Cavs played out, but OKC going into that finals would have been the favourites. Obviously, we know how that Cavs team played out, and they wouldn't. I
don't think anything was stopping LeBron in that year.
Nah.
Yeah,
but they would have been the favourites. I'd gladly put money on it.
If some bucks of candy and nuts, we'd all have a merry sodding Christmas. We could talk about this all day, but we're going to cut it there for tonight. We'll be back next week for round 2 of the playoffs.
Hold the phone. What about the Knicks, bro?
Will the Knicks survive?
That's a silly question, isn't it?
Will they survive?
No, and that's good night from us.
Peace out.
Enough said.
Knicks fans, the unsubscribe button is below. See you guys next week.
What, unsubscribe from the playoffs? Yeah, I know where that is, bro.
It's been a Flagrant Free podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Deuces.
See you there, guys.